Something that Celtic have got to look at, and under Ange Postecoglou, I think Real Betis, when they first came in, was it 2-0 away from home, and they came back and I think they lost the game. So I think there's lessons that have been learned, but Celtic under Ange Postecoglou now will just be trying to make a big impression, and I think if Celtic get a favourable group, in the Champions League, and Ange somehow manages to get them qualified, is that him hit his ceiling at Celtic? Is that hit his ceiling? I think winning the treble, dominating domestically, getting Celtic into the knockout stages, how do you top that? Where do you go for there? And I think that's when Ange Postecoglou maybe think, right, I've done enough here at Celtic, I've done my job, I've done everything I can do here, I've won everything, I've got us into the group stages, I've bought players, sold players on. Now is maybe the time for me to look at top 4, top 6 in England.
Yeah, okay. You can give us your thoughts on that. We'll hear from the managers. We'll also hear from our reporters out at the ground, giving us their full-time assessment of the games that have been taking place. And of course, the main story at the moment in the Scottish Premiership is that Ross County have really put the cat among the pigeons, because they've recorded a 2-0 win over Livingston. Malky Mackay will be absolutely delighted. Elsewhere, Dundee United still have it all to do. It's going to be nervy for the Tangerine fans, because they lost 1-0 to St Johnstone at McDermott Park. Alison McConnell and Claire Kinnaird will give us their thoughts on that. Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 0, and a good win for Hibs, who really have put the pressure on their great rivals Hearts. Hibs got a 2-1 win over St Mirren, and suddenly there's just that point now which makes it really nervy, and Hearts will have got something to play for when they take on Celtic.
No, they have, and as I said, Hibs, a point behind Hearts. I couldn't have seen that, 3-4 weeks ago, a month ago. I don't know. Hibs looked as if they were miles behind Hearts, and Hearts have obviously had a poor run. Hibs have been very inconsistent, but they've picked up a couple of wins now, and they're bang in it. I think 4th will get European football this year. I think 3rd is out of the question. I don't think they'll finish above Aberdeen, but if Hibs can finish 4th this season, finish above Hearts, all of a sudden, from Lee Johnson, being criticised by people like me in the media and fans, then all of a sudden you think, well, Hibs have finished 4th this season, and they're in Europe and they're finished above Hearts. That's quite a good season, so there's plenty to play for. And as I said, the Hibs fans will be wanting Celtic to do them a favour tomorrow and beat Hearts at Tynecastle, and then it all sets up for that Edinburgh derby in I think a week or 2. Yeah,
absolutely. Give us your thoughts on what you think's happening in the bottom end of the Scottish Premiership, as well as at the top end if you're a Rangers fan. What do you want to see from the team between now and the end of the season? Would you like to see them blood some of the youngsters in there and make sure that anyone who's committed to the club has a chance to play, and those who are looking elsewhere don't see the first team again? It's a big dilemma, because Rangers fans will be demanding wins all the way to the end of the season, and next week at Ibrox against Celtic.
Yeah, they will be. I think that I think it's important for Michael Beale to finish the season strongly. I think that obviously Rangers, we know, are not going to win anything this season, which is unacceptable for every Rangers supporter. I think you can't get away with having too many seasons like that as a Rangers manager, winning nothing. From Michael Beale coming in and starting really well, great performance against Celtic at Ibrox. Probably unfortunate not to win the game. Ran Celtic close, but now they've lost 2 big games at Hampden, against Celtic, and I think the pressure's maybe starting to turn a little bit on Michael Beale from getting maybe a period of grace at the start of the next season. With a cup under the belt, a cup in Ibrox. You're now thinking he's got to hit the ground running. He's got to get his recruitment right, because if Rangers start poorly again next season and Celtic maybe go 4 or 5 points clear early, all of a sudden the Rangers the Rangers fans will be starting to question Michael Beale and his credentials to be the Rangers manager. So he's got a massive summer. He's really got a massive summer. We spoke about yesterday how much the Rangers need to challenge Celtic. 20 million was thrown about by me yesterday, and it might even be more than that, Peter. Yeah, it might be more than that. And where are Rangers getting that from? They need somebody to come in with deep pockets to really go and say to the manager, here, there you go. You can go and shop in Harrods rather than Primark.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you can give us your thoughts on that. Okay, let's have a look at what was happening across the Scottish Premiership. First of all, up there to Dingwall, where Ross County had a big win. Adam Binney watched it.
Full time at the Global Energy Stadium, it has finished Ross County 2, Livingston 0. A win that could be huge in Ross County's bid for survival. They started the day 4 cut adrift at the bottom of the table. They now moved to just within 1 point of Kilmarnock and Dundee United as it stands now. 2 goals, 2 headers, 2 fantastic crosses from Indian midfielder Jan Dander. The first in the 40th minute finding the head of Alex Jakoviti, the second in the 60th minute finding Alex Samuel for his first ever Ross County goal. Went from bad to worse in the 81st minute for Livingston. A throw-in was sent down the line and Curtis Guffey, just as he tried to back into Keith Watson, he lifts his arms, catches Watson in the face and was shown a red card. Initially a yellow by the referee, but after consulting with VAR it was then corrected and changed to a red card. As I said, huge 3 points for Ross County, just one behind Kilmarnock and Dundee United, one behind an automatic safe spot come the end of the season. Final score here in Dingwall.
Yeah, so Ross County getting that win by 2-0. I can tell you in the playoff, Brecon City against Spartans, it was 3-2, 3-3 in aggregates, now going to penalties time.
Put some pressure on that. You know, I can remember 6-7 years ago, the closest that my adopted hometown came, East Kilbride, was a penalty shootout against Cowdenbeath, and Martin Loughlin was the manager of East Kilbride. And they lost the penalty shootout, and East Kilbride have been stuck in that league ever since. You know, and they came that close to getting into the Premier League, into the SPFL. So massive penalty shootout, that pressure's on. And I think both Brecon and Spartans would bring something to the SPFL. I think they're both ambitious clubs. Brecon, you know, have went down and they're possibly coming back up this season. But Spartans have spent a lot of money and they've got a good wee set up at Ainsley Park. So may the best team win in penalties.
Yep, absolutely. We will bring you what's happening, all the details of that once the penalties are over. I can tell you we can go to Motherwell where Patrick Mullen has the details of that match between, of course, Motherwell and Kilmarnock.
Full time here at Fir Park and it has finished. Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 0. It's goals for Spittle and that man again, Kevin Van Veen, that seals all 3 points for Stuart Kettlewell's men. Motherwell got the lead in just the 3rd minute of this when that one all started. Down the left-hand side, the ball was cut back and there was Blair Spittle on the edge of the box who slots the ball home into the bottom right-hand corner to give Motherwell the best possible start. Into the break it was 1-0, and in the second half the real battle was Van Veen and Sam Walker in the Kilmarnock net. Walker was doing so well to keep him out all until the 90 plus 3 minutes. Van Veen takes the ball off the right hand side, beats his man and slots the ball into the bottom left hand corner to double the lead and send the Motherwell fans into a frenzy. I'll be speaking to Stuart Kettlewell and Derek McInnes, who will be very frustrated that his side could not get any points here today or even any shots on target. But at full time here at Fir Park it has finished. Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 0.
Brilliant from Patrick. I love Patrick.
Patrick's a man. Patrick's a man. It just makes me smile and happy.
Well, he also makes it. He makes a Duff game sound like a great game. I mean, that one there.
That sounded like Real Madrid Eintracht Frankfurt. Was it 7-3?
Exactly. And he loves Van Veen because he just keeps buying the goals.
Loves Van Veen.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic from Patrick there. And over and above that, of course, 25 goals is not to be sniffed at. Can Motherwell hold on to him, or will Kevin Van Veen look elsewhere? It's a big call, but it's a good win for Motherwell, and I don't know where Kilmarnock are going to get the points because at times it looks as if Derek was getting something out of them, but that's poor. No shots on target today.
Yeah, that's a poor statistic for any Kilmarnock fan that was at the game. I think Kilmarnock took a big support up to Motherwell today as well, and you go away from home and not have a shot on target is poor. We know they got a great result against St Mirren a couple of weeks ago, 2-0 away from home, and they would be hoping to build on that. But they're back in it. They're right back in it, and as we've spoken about so many times this season, Dundee United have got a goal scorer on their team, Stephen Fletcher. Van Veen with them. Have Kilmarnock got that? Have they got goals in their team? And
you don't think so?
They draw another blank today. They're going to have to rely heavily on their home form. I don't know the split. If they get two games at home, Kilmarnock, if they get 3,
in a minute.
That could be. I think they've only got 2 home games, Peter, and that could be crucial because they're such a different team at home than they are away from home.
Well, they've lost to Motherwell. They've got 2 home. They've got 3 games at home. They've got Livingston at home. They've got St Johnstone at home. They're Dundee United away, and then they've got Ross County at home.
Yeah, but that's huge for them. I think that having particularly that last game of the season could have so much on it. Kilmarnock v Ross County, that could be a relegation decider. So Kilmarnock will need to rely heavily on their away form, because it looks home form. Because it looks as if that result last week against St Mirren was a bit of a result.
And what about Spartans winning 4-3 in penalties? Yeah.
Great stuff for Spartans. Ainsley Park, as you said, you like to see them back in the top flight. Brecon, I think they've put a bit of money into it up there. They've won that Highland League pretty comfortably. I think so. Spartans would play Albion Rovers. You've got a club, Albion Rovers, who've got a great history in Scottish football, been in the league for donkey's years, and you've got a club like Spartans, a relatively new club, coming in. Some will argue we like the traditional teams to stay in. Me personally, nothing against Albion Rovers. I'd like to see Spartans beating them. I'd like to see Spartans beating them and getting into the SPFL, because I look at Cove Rangers, Edinburgh City, Celtic Hearts. There's 3 teams that have came up, and they're all ambitious clubs. I don't see the same ambition at Albion Rovers. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how that all develops. But again, this pyramid system does allow more than a few clubs with ambition and with a fan base that you can justify actually paying some players some half decent money. And not surviving off payouts. I think that's the key to it all, Tam. You have clubs over the last, over the last century, who've just survived basically on payouts, nothing more than that. No ambition to take it on, just quite happy to be part of a committee and watch their team sometimes get relegated, sometimes come back.
And there was a lot of teams like that, Peter, before the playoffs come in.
Yeah.
Cowdenbeath, Berwick Rangers, East Stirling, there's 3 off the top of my head who finished bottom all the time.
Yeah.
But there was no relegation or promotion from a lowland league. There wasn't a lowland league.
Yeah.
So they've created that, as you said, pyramid system where you cannot afford to be, like you just said there, an East Stirling who finish bottom every year but with no danger of getting relegated and no ambition. Now you've got clubs like Spartans and East Kilbride, teams like that who've put money into it, and because they see a pathway. And that's going to be interesting, that final, Albion Rovers v Spartans. It really is.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it. Full times across the country. We will be hearing from Kerry Pollock shortly at Easter Road, and also before the end of this programme, it's almost certain your man Patrick and Adam will undoubtedly bring us the managers and their thoughts and their players. And
I don't want to hear Stuart Kettle. I want to hear Patrick again.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing that's good about it all is, Adam, he'll definitely be on live. He's a Stonewall certainty.
He'll be demanding it. I better be on live.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't worry about it. I like the fact that he's on live. Shows keenness in the job.
He's very keen.
The other thing I was going to say to you, Tam, is he's also keen because next week, and I think it's absolutely fantastic, Adam and Terry will be part of our team on the red carpet for the big awards on PFA Scotland's YouTube channel, and I think we're going to have great interviews and behind the scenes stuff, and of course there'll be interviews with the managers, the manager of the year, the player of the year, the young player of the year in both the men's and the women's game. It's going to be a really good watch on the red carpet.
It will be a very good watch, and it'll be interesting to see how sober some of those players are who are getting interviewed.
Yeah.
Because as we know, the PFA Awards can be a rowdy occasion at times.
Well, it's funny you should say that.
3 bevy on the table, so hopefully Kerry and Adam will be teetotal that night and they won't be swallowing.
Yes, they'll be working, I have to tell you. And the good thing about it
is... They're doing it, so you don't need to do it, so you can just sit with a few wines?
No, I'm doing the actual awards ceremony, but they are doing the red carpet part of it, which is absolutely fantastic. So it means basically that by the time we get to Monday, people can watch the ceremony on PFA Scotland's YouTube channel and see the interviews with the managers and the players.
I'm a bit tuning into it. I'm a bit tuning into it after my golf in Murcia. I'm a bit tuning into it in the pub in Murcia on Monday night.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a strange thing that's happening. Some people just, all of us taking weeks away.
I'm desperate not been away for a while.
I know. I think
weather.
Everybody's looking forward to Tam getting into holiday mode. But there's a few things to decide before that. Celtic fans will be in title party mode tomorrow in Edinburgh if they can get the win over Hearts or at least a point. And the other aspect of it that I think they'll be looking forward to is maybe heading back to areas in Glasgow where it'll be far busier than it will be in Edinburgh. Only 1,200 Celtic fans, just over that maybe, inside Tynecastle for this game.
Yeah, and you can imagine how much those tickets are going for, Peter.
Oh, gee.
They'll be like hot, gold dust.
Yep.
And then when you're looking at it, 1,200 fans, it's not a great amount. But listen, if Hearts are going to fill their section, it's a big game for Hearts as well. Then fine. But if you're a Celtic fan, you want to bet that game. You want to see them win the league at Tynecastle. So listen, they're very, very lucky. 1,200 Celtic fans that are going there. And I think if you bought your ticket for 30-40 quid, I think you would get fairly hefty return on that if you decided to cash it in, which I don't think most Celtic fans would. They want to be at the game.
They want to be at the game if they got in that ballot and they were lucky enough to get a ticket. Hearts versus Celtic, 2:15 kick-off for that one. Kerry will be there, Adam will be at Rangers Aberdeen. Of course, Celtic, as Ange Postecoglou has pointed out on more than a few occasions, close to winning the league. They'll want to get it done as quickly as possible, and as Ange has highlighted, the best team wins the league.
So, we had a great year last year and winning the double and winning and becoming champions, which was important to us. But I really feel that this year, we're a stronger team than we were 12 months ago. And that's always got to be our measure. I think if you stand still at any time, whether it's this league or any league around the world, that there's always potential somebody could overtake you if you sort of repeat the performance of last year.
Yeah, better than last year?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the results would tell you that as well, Peter. I think that obviously he needed time to come in. I think they lost 3 of the first 6 league games, Celtic, and if you cast your mind back to that, a lot of pundits and a lot of people were saying, who's Ange Postecoglou? What's his credentials to be the Celtic manager? He gets off to a bad start, and a lot of Celtic fans would be thinking, told you, why did we not get somebody better than Ange Postecoglou? But I think you fast forward to now, I don't think there's one Celtic fan all over the world who wouldn't want Ange Postecoglou to stay at Celtic for forever. I think he's loved universally by Celtic supporters.
Yeah.
The way he comes across, the way he respect he demands for his players and the supporters, the way he plays football. He wants to go and attack home and away. Celtic fans have been brought up with that from going back to the 50s and the 60s of the Lisbon Lions. All out attack. That's what Celtic fans want to see. He's come in, he's embraced that. Listen, they'll maybe take a few downs in the Champions League because they're up against better quality like Real Madrid, but that's the way Celtic want to see their team playing, and I think the Celtic supporters are absolutely buzzing that Ange Postecoglou is the Celtic manager, simply because the way he goes about and the way he sees football getting played.
Yeah, we'll hear from Stevie Naismith just shortly, but what about that game up at McDermott Park? Claire Kinnaird was talking to Alison McConnell.
Here at McDermott Park, St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0. The all-important goal coming just minutes before half-time. Can you talk us through how that ball snuck into the net?
Yeah, I think Liam Gordon deserves a lot of credit. I think Charlie Mulgrew just miskicked the clearance. Davy Mays, fresh air swipe, and the ball just broke kindly to Gordon. Just a low ball through a ricochet of players and into the bottom corner. But I think overall it gives St Johnstone a hugely significant 3 points in their fight for survival. Their first home league win here since mid-November. I don't think you can underestimate just how significant the win is today.
And of course Charlie Mulgrew getting sent off, there was a VAR check on that. It was a straight red that the ref came out with. Can you just talk us through what happened there? Yeah,
I think Melker Hellberg just beat him for pace down the channel. Mulgrew caught him. He was judged to be the last man. I think it was fairly unambiguous. Jim Goodwin had instructed him to stand at the touchline, not head straight down the tunnel, just as VAR checked it, but I don't think there was any great surprise when that stood up.
And of course Dundee United then down to 10 men, but they didn't just sit back. They had a cracking chance in the form of Stephen Fletcher.
Yeah, they tried to go for it. I think they were always going to have a mountain to climb with a numerical disadvantage just in the last half hour or so. But Stephen Fletcher, what a goal it would have been if it had gone in. Rory McLeod's cross, and he caught it ever so sweetly on the volley, and it just whacked off the frame of the goal. I think it was the most menacing that Dundee United had been in the second period, but they'll be frustrated not to have taken anything from this game, because all of a sudden now there's just a point between those bottom 3 teams, and I think next weekend's game at Tannadice, they host Ross County, they'll be without Charlie Mulgrew, who'll obviously be suspended for that game, and that's a massive game now in the fight for relegation.
There we have it. It's finished here at McDermott Park. St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0.
Yeah, thanks to Claire and Ali, and they'll be bringing us the manager's reaction to that game, because quite simply Stephen McLean will be delighted. Charlie Mulgrew, I think Charlie will be hanging up the boots in the summer anyway, so if he gets any more game time, I think he'll be fortunate, but Dundee United will have to soldier on without him next week.
Yeah, listen, we've seen a little clip of it there. It's difficult to tell if there was a covering defender, Peter coming across, but you know, it's up to the referee. Once the referee makes that decision, I think it's going to be hard to overturn it, you know, from being a clear and obvious error. You know, so we have to obviously see it again. But for Charlie, yeah, I think he will in the summer. I think, you know, he's had a fantastic career, Charlie Mulgrew. You know, he's got plenty of Scotland caps, played in the Premier League. You know, he's played in the Champions League with Celtic. Terrific career. But I think now, just on that there, you can see his legs are starting to go a wee bit. And you know, as a player, when your legs are starting to go a wee bit, you know, you get caught out in situations like that, which he did. So I think he's going to be missing, I don't know how many games, the next couple of games, and maybe he'll decide to go into coaching. I don't see him dropping down maybe to Championship or League One. No. I think he'll just call it a day and maybe try and get into a coaching position, maybe at Dundee United. Yeah, absolutely. I think he'll try and do that on a permanent basis. Today in the Scottish Premiership, Hibs 2, St Mirren 1, Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 2, Livingston 0 and St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0, as you've just heard there from Ali. We'll hear from Kerry Pollock with Lee Johnstone, the Hibs manager, as well, and we will also hear from Michael Beale, the Rangers boss, ahead of that match against Aberdeen. Of course, there's a game at Tynecastle where everybody's talking about Celtic winning the league, but Hearts want to try and make sure they can keep Hibs at bay. They are right on their tail now with only a point between them, so Hearts have got something to play for at Tynecastle tomorrow. Stevie Naismith will be looking and thinking to himself, well, there's a job here that I could get on a permanent basis. Will he be able to become the full-time Hearts boss? And he's well aware that there are big decisions to be made, changes in the playing staff as well.
In terms of pre-season and stuff, yeah, there needs to be a programme there. If we get to summer and we don't, and whether I'm the manager or somebody else is the manager, then you're in big trouble, because you're not going to get a pre-season trip, you're not going to get a pre-season schedule to what you want. So as much as we can, we've made the decisions and made them what's going to be best, no matter what manager's in charge. So that is, in terms of the summer, yes, no matter what the manager has changed, I'll have worked in the job 6-8 weeks, so that is still going to have a transformation come the summer. If it's a new manager, there's going to be change, simple as that. So there will be change at the club, but that doesn't come away from the long-term goals the club have.
I think Stevie Naismith is fairly realistic on it. If he could get them playing a certain way, he wants to get them on the front foot, playing, attacking, high press. If he can get that out of them and convince that board that there's more to come from him, you never know. Yeah, and I think that's probably the way that a lot of younger modern coaches, how they want to play, you know, and it's more the Man City, the Jurgen Klopp, the Pep Guardiola style, where you get after teams, you're pressing teams high. Klopp done it for years, very successfully. You know, unfortunately for him, his players are starting to get a little bit older now, but if you've got energy in that front area, you can do that. And I think for Stephen Naismith, Barry Robson's a great template for him. You know, Barry Robson's went into Aberdeen and their high tempo front foot, you know, get the ball in the box, make the other team defend, plenty of energy, plenty of enthusiasm, get after teams, and it's worked very well for them. So I think he'll be looking to try and do the same at Hearts. This is a great result against Ross County, you know, 6-1. They'll take great confidence from that. They're obviously coming up against a totally different kettle of fish in Celtic, but I think Hearts will have a real go at Celtic tomorrow. Celtic are missing key players, you know, Alistair Johnson, Carter Vickers. You know, they're good defenders in Celtic's team, you know, and Anthony Ralston will probably come in, and maybe Kobayashi will come in. I don't know who'll come in at centre half. So I think that they'll have a real go at Celtic tomorrow, but I think Celtic will be too strong. But I think Hearts will score and will put Celtic under pressure at times. Yeah. Any surprise that Liverpool fans were booing as the national anthem was being played ahead of their game against Brentford? The world's mad, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And it could happen tomorrow again, Tom. Yeah, listen, it probably will happen tomorrow, but you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. You know, people like the Royal Family, people don't like them, and you're entitled to give your opinion on that. But as I said, I didn't think there would be too many cheers at Anfield today for the. Was it the minute? Well, it was the national anthem that get played. Yeah, I didn't think there'd be too many cheers. Maybe some from the Brentford end. Yeah, it's an interesting thought to play these things at the football grounds, because you leave it wide open to people who, want to voice their opinion. As soon as you get a platform, you can voice your opinion. It's as simple as that. And some agree, some disagree. That's what's called a democracy. Sometimes you watch this programme, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you like the opinions, sometimes you don't. We're delighted with last month's figures, Tam. It's been absolutely fantastic. People consuming our unique video content and getting right behind us, and there's lots more to come.
Yeah, there is obviously a great interview with Scott Brown. I think those interviews are great. When you sit down with someone like that, or David Martindale or Alec McLeish, or you're getting a real, intimate interview with them. They're being open and honest. I think it's great for supporters or fans, whether you're a Celtic fan, a Rangers fan, an Aberdeen fan, whoever it is, to sit and see somebody opening up and speaking, very frankly. So no, there's a lot more to come. And as I said, the only thing for me personally is I hope that Haksababa Bobic gets sold by Celtic.
Yeah, so that you can pronounce John Smith's name easier.
John Smith, good winger playing down at Huddersfield at the minute. Celtic should swap him for Haksababa. Whatever his name is.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, listen, that's what it's all about. It's all about opinions, especially across football, and hopefully you're enjoying supporting us here at PLZ Soccer. We are absolutely delighted with your support, and the figures are absolutely phenomenal. On digital channels across our social media, you have to ask yourself, covering Scottish football, how many other channels are giving you 7 days of content, and over and above that, unique content, exclusive interviews. And if you download the PLZ Soccer app, you get the breaking football news as well. It's all there for you, and there's more to follow. So thank you very much to so many of you who have shown your support. We do value it. As far as the games tomorrow, we've mentioned Hearts against Celtic, Rangers against Aberdeen. We're talking about changes that will be absolutely on the way at Tynecastle and every other club. As far as Michael Beale is concerned, he's already said to me and other journalists in the press conference after the Scottish Cup semi-final defeat to Celtic that he was thinking about maybe a dozen players could be coming in at Ibrox. How many do you think he needs? Well, how many will stay from the current squad? Michael Beale has mentioned that there's more than a few that have already had their chance to try and impress him.
Yeah, listen, it's a big opportunity for everyone. What I would say is they've had big opportunities since November, and the best team plays. When you sit down before every game, you pick the strongest team. So there is big opportunities, but since I've come in November, everyone's had the same opportunity. They've had to earn it and the right to play. Some have not always been fit, and obviously one or two now are fit and are looking for opportunities, namely Ridvan and Rabbi Matondo.
Yeah, listen, when I read between the lines with a manager, some have had their chance and they haven't done it. That's what he's saying, Tam, and they will not be part of his revolution.
No, listen, I think that most of the players out of contract at the minute, if they've not signed a new deal by now, they're not going to be there. I think you're going to see a massive clear out at Rangers. I think you're going to see, 7 or 8 players leaving, and you're going to see a dozen coming in, 10 a dozen coming in, and it's going to be a Michael Beale team. The first league game of next season, you're going to see a vastly different Rangers team from the one that's playing now, and I think that's when you start to judge Michael Beale. I think it's a little bit unfair to judge him now, because it's not his team, it's not his players. But I think in the summer, once he gets rid of the 7 or 8 that's out of contract at the minute and brings in 9 or 10, I think when you look and you see that team, the first league game, whether that's end of July or start of August, you think, right, this is Michael Beale's team. This is when you start to judge him, and that's when the pressure will really start to ramp up on him. He's got to get results. Yeah,
not only that, I think the biggest pressure will come in the boardroom, where they've got to get the finances to back the manager in his ambition. And certainly everyone on this programme has constantly looked at Michael Beale and Rangers and just suggesting the biggest hurdles will come in August. Got to be in the Champions League group stages for the rewards of that, and then from there to September and October must be on the tails of Celtic, if not ahead of them. These are all things that everybody will be wondering whether they've got a team that's good enough, hit the ground running, and players that they've signed settle in quickly, Tam, and that's tough.
That is tough. I mean, Ruffy's touched on it yesterday in the show. It's a totally different kettle of fish from playing at Swansea or Norwich or even Hibs or Hearts or Aberdeen than going to Celtic and Rangers. The pressure that you are under at Celtic and Rangers, the scrutiny, You know, everyone's eyes are on you in Scottish football. You've got to win every game. A draw's like a defeat. So it takes a certain kind of mentality to be able to deal with that. Some players come up from England with a big reputation. Joey Barton, for example, off the top of my head, come up with a massive reputation, and they can't handle it. And you've got to have players that have got that mentality, and that's what Michael Beale's got to do. He's got to go and sit down with players, and ability is great. You've got to be a good football player, but he's got to actually get to know the guy's character. You know, if you get the mental strength to go and play when you're 1-0 down or 2-0 down at home at Ibrox, and the fans are baying for your blood, if you get the mental strength and the braveness to ask for the ball, are you going to hide? Are you going to throw me under the bus? And I think that's massively important. It's not just about ability at Celtic Rangers, it's having that mental strength. And particularly at Rangers, when things are not going well, you've got to get on the ball and keep playing and try to win the game. So he's got a massive summer ahead, and he's not just got to sign good players, he's got to sign strong characters. Because Celtic have got tons of them in their team at the minute. Yeah,
and I think that's sometimes the aspect of this that we look at and wonder about what Rangers are going to do. But from a platform of winning the title and possibly a treble, Tam, Ange Postecoglou has got this incentive of put 2 or 3 other players in there that he'll undoubtedly want to do to make sure they make an impression in the Champions League, because they haven't been able to do that. They may well have impressed in certain sections of games, but they lost them.
Yeah, I think that you look at that Celtic team at the minute and you look at what positions really need strengthened in terms of for the Champions League. And I think your goalkeeper's one of them. I think that Joe Hart's one of them. He's a very good goalkeeper, but I think you want to sign a good goalkeeper to put pressure on him. Centre back, I think Carter Vickers is very good. I think Starfelt is good. Left back, Greg Taylor, Champions League left back. You're looking at him and you think, can we sign a left back?
Well, I think Greg Taylor has been written off that many times. He's absolutely been fantastic for them. It's incredible. I mean, the amount of people that have written him off, and he's been superb. I think sometimes, I think you're right. I mean, people look and they say to themselves, I actually thought the biggest downside to Greg Taylor was his height in Champions League games, but the boy has just stepped up to the plate. In fact, a lot of people are saying he should be in the running for, if not the Player of the Year among other players, certainly at the club. But I think he's been. I think Celtic. Is he the weak link for you?
I don't think he's a weak link, Peter. But I look at him and I look at Bernabei, who I'm not having. I don't think he's good enough, Peter. And people will be saying, "Oh, he's got time to settle in." Whenever I've seen Bernabei, I've not been particularly impressed with him. So I think you're looking for Celtic have got to look to sign players that take them to the next level.
Yeah.
And for me, a left back, I think you go and get somebody in to put pressure on Greg Taylor, a proper left back, spend a couple of £1 million on him, whatever. Right back, Arthur Johnstone, I think is good. I think he's good enough. Anthony Ralston's a decent backup, middle of the park. I think Celtic are well covered in there. Wide areas, Jota, yep. Abada, is he going to be there next season? There's a lot of rumours about him moving on.
He'll be on his way.
He could possibly away. I think Forrest could possibly be on his way, or else.
Haksabanovic has got a real chance to make an impression.
He has. I think he's shown in flashes, Peter, that he's got the quality as well. I think it's been a wee bit of a settling in period for him. I think next season you'll see the best of him. Striker, Owen Kyogo. I think Celtic need another striker. I think if Celtic, you're looking at it, you go, right, Kyogo's very, very good domestically. Champions League, he missed a lot of chances. I think Celtic would be looking to go and sign a real top striker. I think O's still young. I think he's got potential.
Yeah.
So I'd be looking at maybe a winger, a goalkeeper, a left back, and a winger, and possibly a striker. I think that's the 3 or 4 areas. I think midfield Celtic are well stacked in there. They've got good options, good quality. So I would think if you're a Celtic fan, you're thinking, right, we need a goalkeeper to put pressure on Hart, maybe a left back, a wide player and a striker.
Yeah, and of course you're mentioning the 3 or 4 for Celtic. Rangers need 12 according to the manager. Elsewhere, Hearts, big job for them. Robert Snodgrass left a little bit prematurely in my mind, but they've got to look and try and get themselves quality that can try and close that gap. Let's not forget there is a gap between Celtic, Rangers and the rest of the Scottish Premiership. Can they close the gap? Can Hibs come up with a few players now that Brian McDermott is in there trying to analyse and pick up players that really could step up to the plate and take Hibs on to another level. Let's not forget also Dave Cormack will be determined, along with Alan Burrows, to supply the manager of Aberdeen, Barry Robson, with the perfect start to next season. He's going to want to bring in players. He's going to want to bring in players as well that he will want, that have got a bit of fight in them. You know, Barry is a player, he was a real battler, and he'll want players, some reflecting his will to win as well.
Yeah, he was. He was a very competitive player. I remember getting sent off for volleying him in a Dundee derby. So I know very well. I know very well how sharp his elbows can be, because he caught me right in the nose. But yeah, I think the most important thing for Aberdeen would probably be keeping the players. I think that, you know, I look at Duke, Majowski, and the boy Leighton Clarkson. I think there'll be clubs in for them. I think Leighton Clarkson has been an excellent young player. He's only on loan for Liverpool. I don't think he'll play for Liverpool, but a Liverpool thinking, like, can we get him to a championship team now?
Yeah.
Somebody maybe buy him, or can we put him on loan to a Hull City or somebody? Maybe no disrespect, a stronger overall league.
And Duke was Player of the Year, so they're going to have to fight to hold on to him.
Fight to get him, because I think if you're his agent, you're getting the feelers out in England, and saying to your client, listen, I've got a wee chance of getting you maybe at the Premiership or the Championship, and you can get 20 grand a week. So
yeah, I think he's a Championship level. I
think he's Championship, Peter. I think he's still young enough to go and maybe make that step up, but and Majowski as well. So I think the key to Aberdeen is, they've got to strengthen, but I think they've got to keep their 2 or 3 best players.
Yeah, and of course, Hibs. Are you enthused by Brian McDermott?
I don't know him, Peter. I don't know him at all. He's obviously been a manager down there at Reading. I think he done particularly well with them. He was in the Premier League with them. I was reading some background on him. I've listened to his interview on Hibernian website, and he's been working at big clubs. He's been working with Arsenal for a number of years, scouting for them. He's done a little bit of work for Celtic. He knows the Scottish game up here, so I'm sure he's got a vast array of contacts, particularly in England. So I don't think it's a prerequisite that you need to know Scottish football to be a director of football. I think you just need to know what you're doing overall. Yeah. And I think he sounds as if he knows what he's doing, and I think the timing was right for Hibs to get him in now, and it gives him and the manager and Ben Kensel a real opportunity to get together around the table and say, this is what we need to go forward, this is what we need to get better. Him and him are out of contract. You know, we don't want them. We need a left back, we need a striker, we need a midfield player. Go and get us on, Brian. Can you go and get your scouts out there and see this is what we need? We need athletic. We need something number 10. You know, so that's all the things that will come. And I think it's important that Hibs do that now, rather than appointing a director of football in July when all the scouting's been done. You know, so I think the timing's right for Hibs now. And listen, Lee Johnstone will get another window. And from a guy who was under serious pressure at one point, he could still finish 4th this season and above Hearts, and it just shows you how crazy Scottish football is, because he looked as if he was on his way out at certain points in the season. Yeah,
Jonathan Brown says Hibs can't do any worse with recruitment, to be honest. Tom Crossan says Majowski will be Ofsky. Of course, they'll be looking at some of these Aberdeen players that have performed well, and that's the big trouble here in Scotland and right across Europe and other countries as well, is quite simply that you get a situation where managers can't hold on to players because there are stronger leagues elsewhere with more money, and they're able to cherry pick who they want. So you kind of with your teams, especially in Scotland now, out with the big two, you're getting clubs now who are trying to build a side for a 1 year, 2 year window. Ross County is just constantly an annual change.
Yeah, and that's why it's a difficult job, Peter. Malky Mackay's got. That's why it's a difficult job at Kilmarnock. That's why it's a difficult job at Livingston. You know, you've got a budget for one season, because if you get relegated and you've got a guy on a 4-year deal, then you're going to be crippled financially and you can't get rid of him. So, particularly, those clubs are difficult. Ross County have got a massive scouting network in England. I think they go to Liverpool's, and I remember Stuart Taylor, a friend of mine, who was number 2 at Ross County. Malky Mackay put a catalogue together, you know, and they sent out to every club in England, all the big clubs. This is how we play. This is how we'll look after your player. You know, we do this, we do that. We'll send you all the statistics. You know, we do all this, and that was a very, very good way for him to get in the door at the clubs. Yeah. You know, and we'll look after your player. He'll develop here. He'll come back a better player. He'll come back a stronger player mentally. And that's what Ross County have got to do. That you've got to have an edge on other clubs, because it's difficult to attract a boy for Liverpool or Man United to Dingwall. No disrespect to Dingwall, you know, there's got to be something in there that you do different for other teams, and that's why Malky's been successful so far at Ross County.
Yeah, the other thing about it as well is you've got to try and coax them up to Dingwall, and once you've been to Johnny Fox's and Inverness, it's a hard push. I have to tell you.
I think United fans were in there last night. They were all delighted.
Yeah, absolutely. Liverpool have scored. Mo Salah has scored the goal. Have you seen the new Liverpool top?
You getting that?
I've got the pre-order in. It's like a hark back to the 70s and the 60s.
Do you still wear football tops?
No, not really. I just collect them. It's a strange thing.
Bit weird.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Do you play fives?
I do, but I don't wear a football strip.
Do you not?
No. I'll tell you what I did do. I get married in Greece. Better look at this, Roy. 2013. So for 10-year anniversary coming up, so I get married in Greece. So about 25-30 of my closest family come over, and so there was maybe an even split of guys. So maybe there was about 11-12 guys, their uncles, cousins, and all that stuff. Yeah. So I took all my old strips over with me. So I had a Hib strip with McManus in the back, I had a Falkirk strip with McManus in the back, Colorado strip, whatever it was, and we got together and we all had my strips on. So 10 of us played.
Brilliant.
10 Greeks.
And did you get a photograph?
I've got a photo. I'll bring it in.
You should bring it in.
We played the waiters and the staff at the hotel.
And the 10 people who were there for your team are all the same weight? Wow, that's unusual.
Some of my strips you know what the strips are like? They're all massive.
Yeah.
So everybody was fine.
Right.
So we played the 10 waiters and the staff, and I think we won the game. It was a bit towsy at times, but we all had one of my strips on. So that just shows you how many clubs I've played with. There was 11 people and they had 11 different strips on.
Yeah, I like that. I like some of
this. It's a great picture.
I'll tell you one thing, it's big business, retro strips as well, Tom, you know, absolutely. And especially if you've got match-worn ones, and some people like the signature as well, and you could be on, you know, thousands and thousands of pounds, millions for some people who've got some of those lucky strips that are part of an historic game.
You know, I still wish that I'd kept a hold of strips. When I was younger and playing, you just think to yourself, I'll get another strip. You get so many strips away, Peter.
Is this when you were a kid or when you were playing?
When I was playing.
Yeah, when you were playing.
You know, particularly when I was at Hibs. I was at Hibs for like 7 years. See the amount of strips I gave away. You know, and you think to yourself, I could have kept him and made money.
Yeah, absolutely. There you are. It's gone, Tom. And I kept them all.
Inside me.
Yeah, absolutely. I've kept them all. My wife would sell them in a heartbeat. Hibs 2, St Mirren 1. Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 2, Livingston 0, and St Johnstone 1, Dundee United Dundee United 0 is how it finished in the Scottish Premiership today. It's countdown to the end of the season. Next weekend at the Hilton Hotel in Glasgow will be the PFA Scotland Player of the Year Awards, and you know the players will be looking and still wanting to finish the season on a high because of the World Cup. It's been shunted all the way. Even the Scottish Cup final will be June 3rd. There's still games to go, so people, when they're winding down, maybe having to keep themselves fit for that little bit longer through the month of May. And the first of the games after the split have certainly provided us with the first twist, which is quite simply that Ross County have managed to get that win, which puts them right in the mix with Kilmarnock and Dundee United.
Yeah, I think when you're, as I said, I've been down there before, when you come off and you've been beat, the first thing you ask is, what would you score with them?
Yeah.
So I'm absolutely certain that even the manager would have done it. Derek McInnes would have come off disappointed. He'd have said, what was the score with? How did Ross County get on? 1-0 they won. So straight away, it's a double whammy. No, mentally you think, right, okay, we get beat, oh no, the gap's 1 point now. It was 4 points. What a boost you get, by the way, if you come off and another team has been beaten, it's still 4 points. All of a sudden you feel better about yourself. But when you come off and you go and you find out that the team at the bottom's won, and you're 1 point off of the drop now, it's mentally it's a real double whammy. So that's why this next week, Dundee United at home to Ross County is a humongous game for both clubs. I think, you know, it's one of the ones. Dundee United looked as if they were safe, won 3 games in a row. Jim Goodwin's talking about, we're looking up. You'll not be looking up next week if you get beat off in Ross County.
Yeah, I think Kilmarnock are going to get relegated, Tom, and I think Ross County are going to be in the playoff. What do you think?
It changes every week, Peter. The momentum changes every week. That is a huge game. Initially, my thought was Ross County relegated and St Johnstone playoff. I think St Johnstone with that win, they're fine now. It's any one of the three, Peter. I couldn't honestly call it at the minute. It's very, very tight. They've all still to play against each other.
Yeah.
And those games are going to be huge. But what I do know is...
Who did you pick at the start of the season when we were going
start of the season?
I had St Johnstone.
I think the start of the season I picked St Johnstone as well. But right now it's very, very difficult to pick who's going to go down and who's going to be in the playoff. 1 point separating three teams have all to play against each other. It's anybody's.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you one thing which is going to be interesting of the players, and sometimes really good players that stay in our division and have scored goals. Lawrence Shankland scored a barload of goals. Kevin Van Veen scored. Kyogo. You always like to see goal scorers. You like to see them stay for a couple of seasons at least in Scottish football and enhance our game, and of course the sides that they're playing for. I just wonder if there are a number of managers in Scotland that might be looking and thinking to themselves, well, I know you're going to leave somewhere. Maybe we can get a hold of you. I think Kevin Van Veen, the hot tip for some people is that he might be a target for Aberdeen. He'll be a target for other clubs, but it would be great if he could stay in the division.
I think if you're Kevin Van Veen and you've scored 26 goals, I think he scored 27 goals. No disrespect to Aberdeen, you're looking for a bigger move.
Yeah.
You're looking for a bigger move than that. I think you're looking for, he's what, 32?
Yeah, 31.
31, I think you're looking to yourself, right, can I get to, this is what I would be thinking, Peter. Can I get to the same league as Ronaldo's in there now, in Saudi Arabia? Can I get to that league? Can I get to China? Can I get to somewhere like that where you're thinking to yourself, Peter, I could go and get 15, 20 grand a week.
Yeah, I know.
For 2 or 3 years deal. I could go to Aberdeen and treble my money from Motherwell.
Yeah.
But I'd be looking for one more big payday.
Yeah.
If I was him.
The world is getting smaller, Tam, and certainly it's accessible for players to actually go, to the likes of China and Saudi Arabia.
What CV's got, Peter?
I know, but I'm not sure I'm not sure too many players have really, and I'm talking a lot of players who are strong in character. I'm not too sure they've actually been able to embrace China as a country for football and the culture and that, and I tell you, that isolation.
Derek Riordan went.
Not exactly.
The 6 weeks.
I think Derek struggled to get out of Edinburgh.
It was a problem for Derek.
Just the language barrier.
English.
Do you remember when we met him down at Anfield?
That was random, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It really was. It was good to see him.
What a player he was, Derek Riordan.
Natural finisher.
Great player.
Didn't have the overall work rate or ability.
I liked him. He's your type of player.
Yeah, he's
lazy but talented.
Yes, he's that type of. I'll tell you another one I liked at that. Used to have a guy at Kilmarnock, Eremenko, who
Finnish guy.
Yeah, movement was not really one of the high things priorities. But boy, he could pass a ball. He was absolutely fantastic. But listen, if my type of player is a Pirlo or indeed what's his name, Modric at Real Madrid, then I'm happy with that. It's that type of player, a Xavi and Iniesta, just great players that you love to see are able to pick a pass and do something a wee bit special. It's absolutely superb. Interestingly enough, Tam, it was great to see some of the pictures from Napoli. Naples was alight with fireworks.
Yep. Have you seen Gomorrah, the series?
No, is that?
Oh, Peter.
It's good.
Do you like subtitles? Can you watch some subtitles?
Yeah.
You need to watch Gomorrah. I'm sure there's people in the feed. If you've not seen Gomorrah, you need to watch it. It's based in Naples.
Well, before you say
fantastic.
Before you say that, let's go to a place which is absolutely fantastic, which is Edinburgh. I love it. And
you got the Jonah on?
No, Kerry is not the Jonah anymore because Hibs have won a match. Kerry, were they worthy winners today at Easter Road?
In the first half today, they started very aggressively, very on the front foot. St Mirren, I don't think they're really expecting it, but a lot of the Hibs fans, all of the Hibs fans and Tam as well, will be pleased to hear that I am no longer the bogey reporter for Hibs.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that to you, Kerry. What about Hibs overall? What was the response to that performance they put on today? Although it got a bit nervy.
Definitely towards the end, Peter. St Mirren really looked up for it, just left it a little bit too late after Alex Greaves' goal. I was sure there was going to be an equaliser towards the end, but the Hibs fans, they held on in the end. Kevin Nisbet did have a few chances to put two away, I think Chris Cadden was only about a couple of yards out as well to get his side even further ahead, but the crowd were more than happy to take 3 points and go within a point of Hearts before they play tomorrow.
Yeah, I've got to ask you just before you go, you will have had a quick chat with the manager. What was his What was his mood like after that win today? Because that really does put them close to Hearts.
Yeah, he was really pleased, particularly with the first half performance. He said they kind of switched off almost in the second half. I weren't as sharp, weren't as on it in the second 45, but very pleased to get the 3 points today. And yeah, he says it gives them more of a chance of getting European football and puts the pressure on Hearts as well before they play Celtic.
Great. Death, see what I mean? Commitment from Kerry there, right at the death. Been to see the manager out there live on the show.
Usually try to get a sharp exit, she can go it.
Yeah.
So she's,
with all due respect, she's still going out, but she's still a professional. So that was brilliant from Kerry there, giving us an insight into things at Easter Road. Hibs getting that 2-1 win. And Lee Johnson, well, you know what he was saying, he wanted 5 transfer windows. This will be his third coming up.
Yeah, it will be, and listen, it's going to be a massive window for him. He can really get himself a little bit of grace and a little bit of credit in the bank by finishing 4th this season and finishing above Hearts. Because if you'd have said that to me at the start of the season, Hibs would finish above Hearts, I would not have took that bet at all. I'd have fancied Hearts to finish well ahead of Hibs. It's been a real season of transition at Easter Road. Hearts have got a bigger budget, and a bigger squad, a deeper squad. And for Hibs to finish 4th, listen, it's no ideal. I think the Hibs fans would tell you they want to finish 3rd every season, but 4th and finishing above Hearts and getting European football would turn out what looked as if it was just a nothing season for Hibs, petering away. And by the way, we've done quite a good season, so the next few games are absolutely crucial for Hibs.
Do you fancy them?
They've got to go to Tynecastle, I think, haven't they?
Yeah.
That's going to be a difficult game, but they're well in it. If you'd have told me, you'd have said to any Hibs fan at this point in the season with 4 games left that you'd be a point behind Hearts and have a chance of European football, I think they're biting your hand off. So it's all to play for.
Yeah, they've got Aberdeen away. They've got Rangers at Easter Road. They've got Celtic at Easter Road, and then they've got Hearts on the last day of the season.
You just want to go into that last game of the season being in touch. If you can get into that last game of the season, you're maybe a point ahead or a point behind. It's all to play for.
Yeah.
You don't want that to be a dead rubber. You don't want to be 4 points behind Hearts going into that game. It's a dead rubber. So
no.
Wait to see.
Tynecastle tomorrow. Hearts against Celtic. Then they've got St Mirren away. Then they've got Aberdeen at home. Rangers away, and the Hibs obviously at Tynecastle, which is something they're looking forward to. Just on that, tomorrow's game. Let's get our predictions in, Tam, because Hearts against Celtic. Hearts will get something to play for. Stevie Naismith's got to try and impress as well. Before we do that, by the way,
God, I can see him. In the camera.
You can see him, and listen,
and he's fixing his hair.
Well, to be fair,
fixing that poodle nut.
Yes. Well, to be fair, someone has advised him to get a Shirley Temple, and he's decided to go for it. But I'm delighted because he's always on the show. He's always professional. Adam, your man. Malky Mackay, what was he saying to that big win? Because that really has put the cat among the pigeons.
Yeah, first thing he said to me was, Adam, that's a fantastic new haircut and much better than anything Tam McManus could come up with. But no, in all seriousness, Malky Mackay is absolutely delighted with the performance. He says that this is a spirited team, full of character. This is a team that are not down, and they're going to fight, and they're going to give everything until the very last minute. And if it comes to the last day, he has full belief in these players. These are the guys that are going to be able to keep this football club in the top league. And do you know what? Watching that today as well, Peter, I have to agree with him. I was speaking to a fan outside before the game who says, do you know what? I think we could be down today. But you watched that. Livingston started well, but after 20 minutes it kind of calmed down. Maybe the players were a little bit nervous. You saw that bit of fight, that courage in the Ross County players. That if you're going to be in a survival battle, those are the type of players you need.
Yeah, absolutely. And Adam, on that point, Iacovitti obviously popped up with the early goal to give them that confidence boost. Livingston always going to be up against it suddenly when you get a man sent off.
Yeah, it's a strange one from Curtis Guffey because he's just come on the pitch. Livingston are already light in forwards as it is. the ball gets thrown down the line, and he's a big guy. He's already holding Keith Watson off. There's no need for him really to swing his arms in the way he did. Speaking to David Martindale and Captain Sean Kelly just a few minutes ago, they both agreed that it probably was a red card after looking at it again. On first view and live time, I don't think they were convinced, but I've had a look back at it. Sorry, now again, and it's just silly. There's absolutely no point in him swinging his arms like that, and I believe, he should have seen red, and he did.
Okay, thanks to Adam. That's absolutely brilliant getting him on. And Adam,
well done, Adam. Safe trip down the road, wee man.
Yeah, well, who says he's going home? The other thing I was going to say to you is he's also been there interviewing the managers. This is what Malky Mackay, the winning manager, had to say just before we go.
They're battered and bruised, their reputations, their disappointment, everything that you care to think about when you get beat like that down there. And we got them back up and going again and a bit of confidence in them. And then this week was all just about Livingston. So it came at a good time in terms of that little break to allow us to just reset, because we've beaten 3 of the bottom 5 in the last 6-8 weeks. And we've, again, today made it difficult for a team. And I've got a group here who will fight to the last to make sure we stay in this division.
Yeah, well, it'll be unbelievable if Malky can pull that off and keep Ross County in the division. What about Livingston? Have they put the tools away? Here's David Martindale.
So back to the drawing board, because we're into 4 games now. I don't think there was many on the park today that can expect to start the game next week. In terms if they got dropped, they'd have too much to say about it. So just the squad strength and the squad depth, a wee bit challenging at this point, but it's up to me and my staff to find a solution, and I'm more than capable of doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, there you are. You got the reaction from the managers in the big games there, and there'll be more reaction from the likes of St Johnstone, Dundee United as well, and we will obviously have that across all our social media. It's been a good afternoon. It's a good afternoon for Ross County. They are back in the mix, and also a good afternoon for Hibernian. They are now closing down Hearts with only a point between them before Hearts take on Celtic tomorrow. Give me your prediction. Is it Celtic to win tomorrow at Tynecastle and secure the title, or will Hearts put a spanner in the works?
I think that the Celtic fans will be celebrating tomorrow, and I think they'll go and win comfortably 4-1 to Celtic, and they will clinch the title in style at Tynecastle.
And at Ibrox, Rangers against Aberdeen, will Michael Beale see something from players who may well not have shown it up until now?
I think he has to. I think if you're a Rangers player and you want to stay at the club, but you're running out of time and running out of chances, and I think they will beat Aberdeen tomorrow and get back on track after the cup semi-final. So I'm going to go for 3-1 to Rangers.
Okay, there you have it. Thank you very much to you for joining us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you download the PLZ Soccer app, you'll get all the breaking football news, including the video interviews from the managers and the players on Twitter, on Facebook, across TikTok, Instagram, and of course on the website. You can read all the stories of the games today and the previews ahead of tomorrow. And on YouTube, you'll also get all the managers and players interviews. Thank you to Tam. Thank you to our backroom staff and our journalists today. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. From myself, Peter Martin, and everyone on the Football Show, thanks for watching.